that's antiquated, man. That's an antiquated document. It's not hip in happening with what's going on today, Dave. What are you talking about? Second Amendment. I've had people in my family literally say, what do we need the Second Amendment for anymore? Get rid of it. You know, in those days, they needed muskets and stuff, but you don't need that now. It's antiquated. I'm like, really? Okay.
Well,
you know, and I don't want to diatribe, but what you said earlier, you know, if we go to this, you talked about, and I don't want to get into this deep, like you said, Agenda 21 and all this crap, and which ties into New World Order and all that. You know, guess what? If we become a part of that, folks, Bill of Rights and Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, arrivederci.
well, everybody's out there worried about tearing down statues
Will not
of
apply.
these slavery owners, right? And we all understand that for whatever reason, our founding fathers did the wrong thing when they allowed slavery to continue, okay? I think everybody understands that today. But that's the past. And it does no good to spend our time in the past. Other than to learn from it.
Other than to learn from it. You beat me to it. Yeah, learn from it, move on, try not to repeat the same mistakes, etc.
So maybe our energies would be better at holding the government. You know, why haven't we had an audit of Fort Knox and the Fed in 50 years?
All right, man. I mean, you're getting heavy on me.
You know,
that's a big.
That goes to the heart of. I mean, why do you get up and go? Greg asked a great question. Why do you get up and go to work every day?
Yeah.
I mean, you're expecting compensation. You're not doing it for free, right?
No. I thought
if your dollar is buying 90% of what it bought last year, you know, you go to the supermarket this year and you have one basket, you know, small basket, what would have been two baskets last year or the year before.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You got to, if you're not paying attention at all, then you notice these things. And then the question arises, to your point, what am I doing? You know, why am I killing myself? What am I doing this for? What am I going an hour and a half back and forth in traffic, 3 hours of my life every day, and then working a job in most cases that's totally freaking aggravating and it's not exactly fulfilling? Oh, I forgot I'm paying bills. That's where we are. That's the state of most citizens in this country, my opinion. There was a time when somebody worked a second job or a part-time job on top of their regular job, probably got to go back 40 plus years, where, okay, you were doing that to sacrifice, to save an little extra money to get ahead, maybe invest in a small business or something like that, buy your second home, whatever, you know. But it was to get you ahead. That's not the case anymore. That's so outdated. People are working 2 or 3 jobs just to keep their head above water.
How many people who are alive today in the United States even remember the value of silver and gold as money? You know,
exactly. The old Gen Xers.
Most people don't.
Right. The bulk don't. The old Gen Xers like you and I, which is vaguely, and then the boomers, and then anybody older than the boomers that are still alive do. But that's about it. But they're waning off, right, over time, right?
And I'm not even sure they do. Because they weren't carrying around gold and silver. They were carrying around same thing that's in your wallet.
Well,
so most people consider carrying dollars and carrying coins to be archaic and difficult. Why not just use a credit card or your phone or a chip in your hand? That would be so cool. It would be so much easier. I don't have to worry about anything. Everything's itemized. Comes out automatic.
I guess my answer to that is be careful, the cliche, what you wish for, and there is a price for everything, You may not realize what that price is at the time, or you may never realize it, or you may figure it out when it's too late. But there's a price for everything.
Yeah, what's your recourse if everything is digital and they now institute a 10% tax? on anything in your account.
There is no recourse.
It used to be that this country manufactured things, and there were needs for machinists,
Absolutely.
right? And different skills that
Absolutely.
have no longer really exist.
My father was a
have tradesmen who can't even get people to come into the trade to become apprentice.
Dude, my father was a master machinist for 39 years. Master machinist. That truly was a combination of brain and skills with your hands.
Yeah.
Does that even exist in this country anymore? I mean, does anybody do that anymore? I don't think so. At least not at a grand scale, right? It's so minuscule, I would think.
Which part?
I'm just citing a machinist, the skill set it takes to do that kind of work, and just the manufacturing base in general. To your point, the minute they ripped out the manufacturing base, what did that leave us with? Either high-end white-collar jobs or low-end service jobs. There's going to be far more low-end service-paying jobs than there are high-end white jobs.
Well, if you think about money as freedom, right? Money is a form of freedom, right?
100%.
Savings is a form of freedom.
100%.
But most people, including people we know,
don't understand that. They don't understand that. Yeah, no, they definitely don't.
And they think they're free because they own more. Well, how many of us really are free?
I would argue the bulk of us are not free.
But Dan, you can quit your job and go to a new job. Isn't that freedom? You can sell your house. You can invest in the stock market. Isn't that freedom?
Those are choices.
Yeah. Well, if you're indoctrinated to believe certain things, you're going to interpret certain things as choices when they're really not choices. What about these people today who want MMT and universal basic income?
Good luck and God bless them. I don't want any part of it.
Freedom is not a one-way street. Freedom means you're not reliant on the government at all.
Dude,
you're not reliant on the state at all. You're standing up on your own merits.
Okay, man. I get it, but that ain't the way it is anymore. You got 50 million people on food stamps in this country. The population is approximately, 300 million? That's 1 out of 6. That's about 17%. Let's round it. Let's call it 1 out of 5. That's 20%. You got almost 1 out of 5 people of your population on food stamps. What does that tell you? Is that self-reliance? I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just saying, if you got 50 or 60 million on food stamps, that's 1/5. That's a big percentage, is it not? 20% of your pop almost is on.
Well, do you know that in the state of Maine, there are more people on the government dole than there are in the working population?
And nothing against the state of Maine. It's a beautiful state if you like outdoorsy stuff like I do. But I believe that, and I'll tell you why. My common sense would tell me that there's not a lot of industry up there anymore. Yeah, there's pockets of industry in Portland or whatever, software companies, high-tech companies, 10-person, 20-person, 30-person shops, right? But that's not, what's the entire population of the state? A mill? 2 mil? Take the middle number.
Actually, you're right, 1.35 million people.
You got a couple little software pockets, shops, technology, whatever, and then the politicians are like, "Oh, we're making jobs." Yeah, you created like 300 jobs for 1.3 million people, guys. Don't pat yourself on the back yet, okay? So major industry,
tourism.
Major industry. Yeah, well, how much money does that bring you? Come on, give me a break.
Well,
major
seasonal.
Industry, huh?
It's seasonal.
Yeah, it's seasonal, and it's not like the Greek islands, if you know what I mean. I mean, nothing against Maine, but you know what I'm saying? There are places in the world that can get by on tourism, but shall we say they're a little more exotic and the water tends to be a little warmer? I'm just saying, and a little bluer. I'm just saying, right? Not to be critical, right? So, they don't have any industry. What's left up there? Bath Iron Works? If you were born in Maine, you have to move out as much as you love it if you want to make a living. Or do you want to live in a 5x5 shack on government subsistence? I mean, even if you take a night class, for God's sakes, that's great. But then where are you going to get a job? unless you open up your own shop, get into software development or something. I don't know.
Okay, we know that our country is run by the people who own everything, right?
That's my guess.
Well, do you disagree or not?
No.
Do you really think that you and I, people like you and I, run this country?
I'm not delusional. I may not be a genius, but
there's a reason I'm asking these questions, Dan. I'm getting to the point. So
I know you are.
Okay, so those people look at us and they don't see people.
Oh boy.
They see a problem. So my point is if everybody is comfortable with abortion and wars, why would it be surprising that they decide we don't need 50% of the population?
Oh, geez, dude. Come on, man.
Well, why do you have that reaction? Do you think it's not capable? You're the one who gets so upset with these people choosing abortion. What's the difference? Murder is murder. I'm talking that why would people believe that the government, the people who actually run the government and fund the government, want to support half of a state of people who don't work?
Agreed. Yeah, right. So you have these.
And now if they go to universal basic income, see, this is what I'm saying. You don't even believe that this is possibly what their real agenda is here.
No, I don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say that. I see.
I know it's a disgusting topic, but this is what people really have to face.
Dude, to me, it's clear as a effing bell, okay? But you know what? The road you're going down, okay, you better be prepared for, okay? There's a fly in my face, sorry. The road you're going down, okay, you better be prepared for that, not biting off more than you can chew, because you will encounter resistance. That's all I'll say. I mean, you will have people come at you, man, like you don't understand. And I'm talking dropping the hammer, okay? And that's where people have a serious hard-ass choice to make. And we're quickly encroaching that, folks, to your point, Dave, where people are going to have to make a choice of I'm either here or I'm here. I'm not in the middle. I'm not lukewarm. Okay, I'm not riding a foot on each side of the fence. This is either right or it's wrong. We live in a world now, and I've had this debate with family members, friends, whatever, where I'm not even friends with certain people anymore because they're like, oh, well, not everything's cut and dry, black and white, right or wrong. Wrong. Some things are 2 + 2 is 4, okay? And you've just touched on some of them. You either believe yes or no, yay or nay in something. There is no middle ground. There is no middle ground. And the Bible talks about that too, by the way. I won't get into that. But even God Almighty himself says, folks, there's going to be a time, whether it's at the national level or personal level, where you're either left or you're right. I don't mean in terms of politics. Yay or nay, you're either on this side of the fence or that side of the fence. There ain't no in the middle. You're either with me or against me. But take your pick.
Well, I think when you see governments, this is the thing that is most upsetting to me of all, is when you see governments around the world taking these unilateral steps to shut down economies. I mean, some states have more people killing themselves with suicides than there are.
Yeah, and they don't talk about that stuff, do they? Is that even in the news? Do they bring that up? I don't think so.
I don't watch the news, so.
I don't watch the traditional news. But no, you're spot on, dude. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you shut down a freaking economy for months at a time, right? And then you got some of these knuckleheads now, politicians, and I won't name names, but one of them from New York, I'll give you a hint. Oh, yeah, let's shut it down to November. Yeah, shut everything down in November, right? How are people going to pay their bills? How are they going to pay their rent or their mortgage? How are they going to buy eggs? Seriously. Are the politicians going to pay for them? Oh, yeah, they'll print more money. My bad. But no, seriously, how are people going to survive and subsist?
These are very...
I mean, this is serious. This is serious shit.
not only that, do you really believe that they're doing this for somebody's well-being? Really? That's what I'm saying. If we're supporting abortion, where we're killing millions of people, why would they go to all this effort to save 1 million people?
Yeah, so let me put it in this context since you brought it up. You got about 300 million people, 310, whatever. Let's say 300 million is the current population of U.S. Since 1973, Roe versus Wade, there's been between, that we know of, I guess, right, that's supposedly documented or whatever, 50 to 60 million abortions. Let's say 50 million. So 50 divided by, again, 300 million is 1/6, which is 17%, almost 1/5 of your population. So we've made the decision, and you can sugarcoat it and make it as pretty or whatever as you want to feel good, but we've decided as a whole, the numbers are what they are, to jettison, if you will, that's a harsh word, 1/5 of your population. We made that choice. So my argument to that is, who are the proponents for the unborn? They couldn't protect themselves. And oh, by the way, of that 50 or 60 million, don't you think some of them would have gone on to do great things? At least a few out of 50 million? I think so. Maybe they would have invented the cure for cancer, for God's sakes. That's a big, extreme stretch. I get it. But maybe or some, God knows how many scientists we killed or prevented, or other inventions that would have served mankind in a good way besides building bombs. 50 million. I mean, 50 million is bigger than most countries in the world, correct, Dave? Isn't it? My point is 50 million is bigger than probably over half the countries in the world, if I had to guess.
But you're getting off point, okay?
I'm not getting off point.
You are getting off point, because all I wanted to bring up abortion is to show that it's what is the number one thing that I said I hate most about people in general? Being a hypocrite. Being a hypocrite. It's like you said, God hates hypocrites. And the whole point is, isn't it hypocritical that we're willing to determine that one form of life is valueless and another form of life has value? What makes sense about this?
Dude, again,
so you judge people on their actions. So the action says that life has no value when it benefits those in charge. So it's an inconvenience, so it has no value. And this is why you don't turn to government for any of this. This is why this country no longer has a sense of community. They've given up on all of that, and they've turned it over to the government. Most people don't even know their neighbors. Yeah, most people are running to stand still. You know, they're just trying to get by.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, when we were kids growing up, I know when I was under 10 years old, we knew everybody in the neighborhood, whatever. You know, we all knew each other. I could walk into Miss Smith's house literally or whatever without giving out real names, whatever. I mean, all the doors were unlocked, by the way, always unlocked back in the day. You never locked your doors. Try doing that today. If I told you keep your doors unlocked, you'd say, Dan, something wrong with you? What are you, nuts?
A lot of things have changed today.
Yeah. The doors were always unlocked when we were kids. You say that to a 12-year-old now or a 20-year-old. Really? Huh? What? What are you talking about? I got 16 bolt jams on my door.
Well, I guess I'm trying to use these as examples as to why.
No, you've done a good job. I mean, you've made it clear, at least in my mind. I die tribe as usual. I'm a scatterbrain, whatever. But no, you've made it clear. You've made it clear. I think. You're kind of harsh, hit between the eyes, but that's you.
Well, maybe freedoms don't matter anymore because, you know, China has been a test case. It's been the Petri dish for the whole world for the last 40, 50 years.
Yeah, you know what?
And that's what they are aspiring to become. Everybody wants to be China now.
I don't want to be China. Nothing against the Chinese. I'm not interested in being China. Sorry.
No, you want to be Chinese.
I do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you want to live in the cities and have all
I
the
do.
bells. No, I'm saying you, the general, the plural you.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. I hear
Why
you.
does 80% of the population live near a city, right? Or they did until this.
Well, the city's happening, man. I've got the theater.
Everything's there.
I have the theater, which hardly anybody goes to the theater when they say that. It's like, really? Do you spend $300 on tickets regularly? Do you have the money to do that?
Yep. You get to live in concrete jungles
Yep.
and go to the
I get to,
park. So let's just wrap this up. So how is getting involved in gold and silver, physical gold and silver, going to help you?
so the moral of the story is of everything we just said, full circle coming back, it's about self-empowerment, right? Standing on your own feet and providing as much long-term wealth for yourself and independence as possible. And one of the ways to do that is what you just asked, Dave. That's how you do it, folks. One of the ways, anyway. As crazy as it sounds. Now, to the millennials out there, and it's not their fault, and the Gen Zs that are younger than them, they're not going to get this, Dave, at first. Hell, probably a lot of our generation, the Gen Xers probably don't get it because they weren't weaned on it either. Gold and silver, stuff like that, precious metals, palladium, whatever. I mean, that's like, what are you talking about? That's like, what are you, conspiracy guy or something? Or the old Mel Gibson Road Warrior movie when everything hits the fan? I mean, what are you talking about, dude? What do I need that for? Where am I going to put it? Telling me to collect metal? I got a dollar bill.
Or they have a credit card.
Oh, even that. That's even more valuable. The MasterCard and Visa, they love you at 20% APR. Some of them are 25 or 28% APR. Does the mob even charge that? I'm just wondering. I thought the mob was at 19. I can get a deal with the local bookie. Better than MasterCard.
In some cases, that's true.
I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts, but nobody seems to wonder. Nobody seems to care.
No, it's nobody seems to notice.
Nobody seems to notice. Sorry, I get it wrong.
Nobody seems to care.
Nobody seems to care. That's one of our beloved comedians who is no longer with us. Just paraphrasing.
Joan Rivers?
Joan Rivers. Yeah, Joan Rivers. Yeah. No, that was Soupy Sales.
No, you missed my point entirely. Why did I reference Joan Rivers?
I know why you referenced her. You're such a hard ass. You know that?
Well,
You're such a hard ass.
if I'm throwing a softball, and hit it.
You're referencing Joan Rivers. I get it. I understand. She probably said shit she shouldn't have said for those that aren't aware.
Yeah,
And
she paid with her life.
And you can make the inferences you will.
Yeah, well, here's the last thing I'll say on this topic. I know it sounds ridiculous that people think that JFK or Joan Rivers or George Carlin or Smedley Butler, or go down the list of these people who said things that they shouldn't have said, that is it possible that they were silenced?
Oh, jeez. You're not asking me, are you?
No, I'm just throwing out the rhetorical question, because the bottom line is I've already tried to demonstrate that in our society, life is worthless when it goes against somebody's agenda. If it makes somebody else's life difficult, then they're glad to kill whatever's in the way. And yeah, it's kind of harsh, but oops, I got pregnant. Do they even think about adoption?
Dude.
Why would I think about adoption? I've got to carry the baby for 9 months and ruin my body?
Oh, Jesus, man. Yeah, just, I don't want to get in. I'm not disagreeing. Don't open a can of worms that you're not ready for or whatever.
Take the skirt off.
Yeah, you're right. No, I am a wuss dog, especially the older I get. No, it's true.
I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm guilty of all this. I have made decisions and choices in my life out of whether you call it fear or matter of convenience. I didn't want to waste my time. I didn't want to, whatever it comes down to.
Me too. I'm guilty too, like the next guy. Believe me. We're human beings, right? Let me put it in a broad context. Look at man since the beginning of time. That's what we do. We're good at it. We're good at forging weapons. All our major inventions first came from weaponry, basically, right? So I get you, all right? That's the political...
Maybe that's why government doesn't tell its people about what it really does. Because it's the things you keep in the closet. The things you don't discuss.
Well, we're not going to get rid of militaries anytime soon, mankind. I'll put it that way, and we know why, right? We want...
Well, there's a difference between a military for what Smedley Butler referred to, right, as a racket. And
well, yeah, I mean...
There's having a military to actually make sure that whoever tries to hurt you understands that you're going to defend yourself. Those are two different, complete objectives. Hey, it's about being politically correct. They used to call...
I'm not a pie-in-the-sky pacifist. No. I just want to say...
Department of War, today they call it the Department of Defense.
No, I agree with you. I'm not a pacifist pie-in-the-sky guy. I believe in the military, a strong military for defensive purposes. Absolutely.
Well, obviously I'm not a pacifist or somebody who doesn't believe in protecting yourself, because the whole point goes, shut up for a second, Dan, please. Either make the point or, you make your point. The whole point is why would you have gold and silver? As defense.
Defense.
Why do you have a military? Defense.
Agreed.
So people today are very fine with the military going over and killing these people. As they said, 7 countries in 5 years. Okay? And you could argue that's what basically utilizing all this debt is. It's going on the offensive. It's leveraging yourself so that you get the maximum gain at somebody else's expense. Because grandma can't live off her fixed income because you don't want to pay more than 2.2% on your house that you can't afford.
Yeah.
So these are all tied together. These choices, you basically are choosing indirectly to kill people. Well, it comes down to that. I mean, obviously, we don't sit there in the mirror saying, I want to kill people so that I live better.
All right, dude. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Well, expected a little bit more, Dan.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, we're all complicit, especially if you pay your taxes, right?
Well, of course we're all complicit, because in this country, well, if you're not complicit, then they send men with guns to your house and they take you away. Aha! Hee hee! So there's another example of being free.
No, we're not free. No, we're not free. Well, the perfect example is and I'm a homeowner, but the perfect example is
stop paying your taxes.
Yeah, none of us own our homes, even if it's paid off. That's such a effing farce. So don't pay your taxes for 2 or 3 months, folks, on that paid off home. And you'll see quickly who owns your home. They will lien your ass quicker than you can blink. Put a tax lien on that baby, and if you can't cough it up, you're out 90 days later. The sheriff shows up. A sheriff shows up to your house, delivers a piece of paper, and he's got a key and a brand new lock for the front door while he unscrews the old lock. Literally. And you're out. You're out. Within hours sometimes. I didn't know that. China doesn't pay property tax? The CCP doesn't pay property tax?
Long story short, the the Chinese government owns all land.
Oh, okay.
So you get a 70-year lease in China.
So as an individual,
you pay a one-time transfer fee, and after that you don't have to pay taxes every year, but you still have HOH fees and all that other garbage. I'm not saying that any of this stuff is simple or easy. These are the type of things that as a country we should be talking about. We should be debating. I mean, do we really start with the simple question? Do we value, is all life created equal? Is every person truly equal? This is an interesting debate.
Oh, geez. Wow.
Because in reality, I mean, I will say it, not everybody is equal. We're not all the same.
Well, no, we're not all the same. We all have different, let's face it, strengths and weaknesses. I mean, a perfect example would be athletics, right? Some guys are just bigger, faster, and stronger. End of story. Why is it in athletics we can easily admit that?
I don't think that people in this country could actually handle true freedom. I think people would flip out. They would be like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Out of all the countries that I've traveled around, the people of the United States are some of the biggest cowards and scaredy cats I've ever met.
Yeah, let me put it this way. I don't want to be disparaging that way, but I will say that we do have a society now, in my opinion, that it kind of breeds fear. Everybody's, freaking frazzled. A lot of people don't look happy anymore. And is it any wonder that half the population is on mind-altering drugs?
No, everybody is worried about regulating everybody else instead of worrying about their own lives.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you got to take care of yourself. You got to stand on your own 2 feet first. It all starts with the individual. You either believe that philosophy or you don't, or you believe in somebody else overarching power should take care of you and hence have universal basic income, for example, which I don't want no part of, but seems to be coming because the bulk seem to want it.
And that's the danger of any sort of quote unquote democracy is they've said it. I mean, when the dumb get in power or start, demanding free shit, watch out.
Yeah, because
it all comes apart.
The reality is people like you and I, in my opinion, I hope I'm wrong, but it appears this way, are becoming more and more the minority.
Well, you've heard of Ayn Rand, right?
Yes.
She wrote a book called Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah.
Did you ever read it?
No.
Okay. I'll just give the 30-second synopsis. What she said is when a country becomes like what the U.S. is today and starts putting the burden onto fewer and fewer shoulders, those people leave. They go elsewhere. So don't be surprised if countries like Mexico or whatever other country that people run to
pick up talent and mind share.
They all of a sudden become the next economic powerhouse because the people said, see ya, you want the boat? You want the boat? And this is why in Rome, people just walked away from their property because they're like, I'm not going to try to carry, I'm going to spend $100,000 on the house that's worth $250,000. No, thanks. You can have it. And they leave.
Or $250 on a $100K house, you mean?
And that's why people used to buy silver and gold, so they could just leave and transfer their wealth. Because the United States all of a sudden says, well, that's fine. You can leave, but now we're going to take, you know what they're talking? They're talking, you want to leave? That's fine, but we're going to take 25% of what I heard that they're proposing is we're going to calculate your entire lifetime wealth, and then we're going to ask you to pay for 25% of that. Something ridiculous, very punitive.
So if you want to leave the country, really?
As if you're going to leave citizenship, because the United States, most countries, there's only 2 countries in the entire world who require you to pay taxes even if you're not living and working in your own country.
I know the U.S. is one of them. Who's
Yeah,
the
and
other
then
one?
there's another African. There's a small African country. I forget what.
So out of 200 countries, 200, there's two that.
The U.S. is one of them. So if you go and live and work in another country, the United States government is requiring you to file taxes. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Even if that country, and I can think of a couple right now, even if that country has tax laws that don't require you to pay taxes on your income.
Doesn't matter. If you're an American citizen.
Okay, I was going to say if you're a U.S. citizen. Now, what if you renounce your citizenship?
That's what I just tried to explain to you.
Yeah. Then they're going to tag you for renouncing with a big stipend or whatever. Got it.
The number of people renouncing their citizenship, if you look at that number, it's increased. It increases every year because more and more people are saying, I don't even live in this country or work in this country, and you're expecting me to pay taxes to the United States? A lot of people leave the U.S. because they don't agree with what the United States stands for.
Well, look at the big corporations that leave and put headquarters somewhere else for the sake of avoiding taxes. How come they're able to do it? But the little guy, Joe Smith, who makes 50 grand a year.
Because the corporations run the world. Amazon just hit record numbers of profits, or they always have. They've done very well. But if you actually analyze how much they paid in taxes and property taxes, most municipalities are like, please come in. We need the jobs. We'll give you the property for free.
Oh, we're going to bow down. Drop the shorts. Whatever you want. We'll give you our wives and daughters while we're at it.
But they're bringing in jobs, Dan.
It's a joke.
I mean, when people say it's going to bring in more jobs, I always think, this is a feudalist society. Feudal society. So the job is a form of slavery.
But hey, it's normal. I got people in my family. Everybody does it. It's normal. Everybody commutes 2 hours each way.
There's the problem is
normal.
There's a real big problem as to why people struggle for years trying to figure out their purpose in life, because they've been indoctrinated to believe you go to school, you get a job, you get married, you buy a house, you have children, you put your nose to the gravestone, or grindstone.
In gravestone.
As we have these conversations, even if we fail, Dan, if we go to Mexico and attempt to set up this community, at least we tried. Doing what we're doing right now, it's a recipe for failure. See you later.
All right.
Cheers.
Thanks.